Bryan were to offer a contract with AEW, I can guarantee you they will put in clause that he will wrestle for every promotion that's out there. I can guarantee you if Tony Khan offer them a piece of paper to come to work, he will have a clause in his contract that Daniel Bryan will wrestle, or in this case will kind of be Brian Danielson will wrestle somewhere else, other places. Like he will wrestle other places. Like you,
Boy, that was like months ago I made this. And it was like, I even didn't know how much right I will end up being. Like, wow. And that was my expression after watching All Out. Was like, wow. What I just witnessed. Like, there was a reason why this was called by maybe the most important show in AEW history. Like, CM Punk's debut was like significant game changing moment, but this specifically was like a big, a crucially important show for AEW because it was like you had all new fans. You probably had all new fans who were tuning in for the first time to check out this promotion that has only been around for like 2 years now in All Elite Wrestling. So they had to deliver the goods on this show to impress some fans who like those new fans who never watched a show like this, and for the fans who haven't watched a show like this in like a very long time, in like 20 years or something like that. So yeah, so they had to deliver the goods on this show, and I can safely, confidently, positively say that they did with this show All Out. I'm a little week behind on this show, but here it is, the All Out 2021 review. I'm Slowpoke88, and that was AEW's All Out pay-per-view last weekend in Chicago. Many people say it was one of the greatest pay-per-views ever in history, and they have a pretty good case on it, as this was easily the best wrestling that AEW has ever produced, like ever. This was all kinds of awesomeness here. So the show started off. I didn't watch. I only watched. I think I only watched like the end of like the pre-show buy-in show match. It was. I don't know who. I don't know who was even like in the match. I don't know who was like even on the match. And I know it featured Jungle Express and Hardy family have office. I know that. It was, I think it was best friends and the Jungle Express versus the Hardy family office. I heard it was like a fun match to like kick up, to like prepare for the goods for the show. So yeah, I heard the best friend Jurassic Express. Very hard to pronounce it, but like yeah, the baby faces one. So to start with the main show, is Miro versus Eddie Kingston for the TNT Championship. And this was a really good match, and you're probably gonna hear that a lot during this review. You're probably going to hear that a lot, but yeah. um, so this was a really good match. In any case, this was probably the best match out of probably both men's runs AEW so far. Like Miro in this last few months has really coming into his own as the God's favorite champion. Also that like God's favorite champion. And Eddie Kingston was being super over with the Chicago crowd. And Miro got some heat for the finish, and got some really the good amount of heat with the finish when he pushed I think he pushed the ref and then low blow Eddie Kingston and put it in the submission hold, the coquilla the what's it called? I don't even. But he has like the lock, the submission maneuver. So yeah, it's like I'll call his finisher game over. Like he usually sells it, so I'll call that for now game over and the finisher, and he retains. I really like how, remember a few weeks ago and like the first Rampage show where he did first, how he put the pressure on the accolade. It's the finisher submission what's called the accolade with a submission move. So yeah, so Miro retains in a really good match, and I think they should. I don't think they should have it, but they should really continue building up Miro as this Scott's favorite champion gimmick. They should really keep on doing it, as so far it's been pretty good. Next match you have John Moxley versus Satoshi Kohima. That's what he's called. Was a pretty decent match, nothing to it. Nothing much to it. People were expecting someone else, but that was like after a match where we got something that we didn't expect. But this was a decent to good match with John Moxley being Satoshi Kohima. And then after the match, we got to the aftermath of the match, where who shows up from New Japan? Minoru Suzuki. Yes, Minoru Suzuki. Got a big ass spot for the Chicago crowd. And it was a really nice surprise there. I really, really love the altercation with the punching, and then it was almost like they were like prepared to beat the hell out of each other, one after another, and then it ends with Minoru Suzuki hit a power driver. John Moxley, and that set up their Dynamite match that week. And set up pretty much nicely, and Minoru Suzuki was pretty over. It was pretty cool to see him in an AEW ring. Pretty cool to see. The next match was the AEW Women's Championship between Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, had to do that, defending against Kiri Statlander. This was a really good match, and it's pretty impressive how Kerry Statlander was pretty much nicely over, unlike when against Britt Baker, who, if if you saw in the first Rampage when Britt Baker was against, I think it was Red Velvet, however, it was totally boo, was the crowd totally hated her against Britt Baker, who's usually an over character, but nowadays they were both Britt and Statlander were both pretty much nicely over here, and this was a good match. Then Britt Baker doing that Panama song, it was not bad. Was pretty much awesome to see, but she did really good actually. But like, they were not very solid with the tease of you know who, and that was me not even knowing what was about to happen in the close end of the show. That was me not even knowing it, but that was quite the tease, I will say. And the finish, I really like how Britt Baker was trying different ways to like wait until she found out with her finisher, with her submission, with her finisher when he hit the Panama Saw and that didn't work. She what other moves she did? She did the current stuff that didn't work, but till the claw did, and that was enough to win her the match. And I really like that style. Then just tap out, just passed out. That was a really nice way to protect her a bit, and really made but Britt Baker look strong here. So good match, really good match all around. And this is when the show turned it up a notch from that moment on. That was when I was like, okay, this is once gonna be good. AEW World Tag Team Championship Steel Cage match between the Lucha Brothers, who had an awesome entrance, against the Jumbos, who were the champion for about 10 months up to this point. This was boy oh boy. This is as tag team wrestling as you gonna to get. AEW gave them 20 plus minutes of tag team clinic here. They were going bust to the walls here, kicking out of each other, finishing, hitting super kicks, a lot of super kicks here, a lot of dives. Pentagon doing a Canadian destroy from the top rope on Nick Jackson was insane. Like, if you have not watched, like, if you didn't watch it all out just yet, you should watch this match particularly because it was outstanding. This was probably match of the year so far. Like, it felt like it actually meant something with the kick out of the V trigger, which that put the Jumbos, which the Jumbo put away main finishers with it, and the fact of the crowd so desperately wanting the Lucha Bros to win. Right fade doing a fly on the safest dive off the cage that you probably seen like ever. Like, he did as safe as he could, but still was insane. And then the Lucha Bros hit the finisher. 1, 2, 3. Penta El Cerro Miedo. Pentagon Jr. Ray Phoenix, all the new AEW World Tag Team Champions. Oof, there's not much. There's this. There's not enough nice words that can do this match any more justice. Like, this was phenomenal here. Phenomenal stuff here throughout this match. The probably, if not the best, probably one of, if not the best engagement I ever seen, the best tag team match that I ever seen. It was just, oof, it was awesome. And I really like that they put the woman Castillo Battle Warrior after that match, because you kind of have to get they kind of have to give the crowd a breather after that, after the fan watched that Jumbo's Lucha Bros match. But, and what they did with the Casino Battle Warrior here was pretty much alright. It was not overly good, but it wasn't all that bad. And there was some nice moments here and there. And it was all building up to the 21 Joker entrant. And it was Ruby Soho. Yes. As she will say, the riot is there in the vignettes that promote that in the build up towards the in the vignettes you saw the riot. You saw it on the street world. That's it. The riot's there, and Ruby Soho is here. And I will admit, I feel it's like, it's almost kind of sad. Like, Ruby Soho never got the attention. Ruby Wright never got the attention that she probably could deserve in WWE, where she was in like Riot Squad and doing her own thing. And it's sad, like, she comes here, the crowd gives us huge ovation, even singing along her theme, like Ruby, 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 Ruby Soho, that thing. And you saw some Ruby shit, like everyone knew she was coming for this, man, and they were going nuts for her. And in that final moments of the ending, when it was like come down to Ruby Soho and Thunder Rosa, the crowd went nuts for them. They were pretty much invested all in when Thunder Rosa eliminated Nia Rose for that match. The crowd was all in for it. No pun intended, since all in was 3 years ago, right here in Chicago. But yeah. So Ruby Soho and Thunder Rosa were fighting in the apron, and Ruby Soho with a kick eliminates Thunder Rosa. Ruby Soho wins the Battle Royale Casino, and will face Brie Baker for the AEW Women's Championship, which I presume will take place at Dynamite Grand Center in Usher Stadium in New York. So, yeah, really decent match with probably the right winner in this year. Ruby Soho was solo, but they kind of had to get her their moment here. So yeah. The next match was the final fight. They say was Chris Jericho versus MJF, with the stipulation that Chris Jericho lost, he will never compete in AEW ever again. And this was in the bill. Jericho had to go through 5 labors. Well, actually it was 4 before he had to go to labor number 5, which was MJF. And MJF beat Jericho. And the stipulation was like he couldn't use the use of it, and MJF did he did some dirty tactics, low blow, even made Jericho tap out, and that and led to Jericho challenging NJF for one more match. If he couldn't do it, he will basically retire for AEW. So the entrances, the entrance of AJF was awesome. He is one of the best heels in all wrestling. Like that entrance was magnificent. Heel hit by him with throw the audience into thinking it was the countdown, the classic right to J countdown intro was for Chris Jericho when it really was for MJF. That was an awesome thing. But Chris Jericho's entrance was, oh boy, this was like the only not so good thing about this show. Like, man, like, is it just me, or the Foxy guitarist sound really off? Like, his guitar sounded really off during the last portion of the entrance. And you can even see Jericho's expression when he looked like backwards, like to him. You can see his disdain after the guitar almost being off in during that point, and that crowd had no fucking idea. And I think it was like a combination of the crowd didn't really know the lyrics of it. Like the guitar was like he hit all the right points, but even that his guitar sounded a bit off towards the end. So yeah, that was probably the not so good. It was pretty much the not good moment of this entire show. But yeah, this was easily, I think this was easily their best match together, NJF versus Chris Jericho. It was a really good match. AJ really pulled out. MJF really pulled all out. No pun intended. In this, he did like a flip up from the middle up to the floor. He did a flip. Like that was pretty much unusual for MJF. And Jericho hit like a power bomb on the apron, a little homage to his former tag opponent in the other company. That was pretty cool to see him pay homage to that former relationship, with the former connection thing to Kevin Owens. They really were back and forth here, and I really love the tease here with NJF. With they like towards the end, or supposedly towards the end, Wardlow was coming out to the ring. Look, I was about this right away, but then Jake Hager came out and they were starting brawling, and NJF hit a low blow. I don't think he hit a low blow. He hit Jericho's back floor. He hit Jericho with it, and NJF hit the Judas Effect just like the last time he hit on Jericho, and the ref counted 1, 2, 3, but Jericho's foot was on the wall. Although I will say, Jericho was pretty late on that rope break thing. Like you can see, like he was, the time was like timing. He responded way too late, and he got it when he hit the twin. He pulled it. He put his foot on the rope here, so yeah. But Jericho's So Jericho's foot was on the rope. AJ thought he won the match, basically ended his career. The announcer, I gotta say, the announcers throughout that whole show were on their game. Especially Jim Ross when towards the end of the show, which I'm gonna talk about in a few minutes when talking about the main event. The commentary were really off their game where the Excalibur say this is bullshit and Tony Schiavone discussed it. But there was another referee that shake on the referee that Jericho's foot was under the bottom rope. So the ref, who was officially the man, decided to restart the match. And AJ was so oblivious. The crowd was going nuts, by the way. AJ pushed the ref, and then the ref pushed back, and then Jericho had a roll up almost the end of the match. AJ tried to do the armbar thing like he won in the last match against Jericho, but to no avail. Jericho countered with the wall, so Jericho making AJ attack, and Chris Jericho won. Really good match. A really good match. I really love the tease. I really love the winning the match tease by AJ pinning Jericho, although Jericho's foot was on the bottom row. I pretty much enjoy it all around. I thought it was well done. So it kind of gave NJF an excuse to be pissed at Wardlow. Say he tried to help him win the match, but it ended up not being the case. And you knew Jericho was going to get his. Jericho was going to be NJF at some point, and I figured he would in this match, and he did. Chris Jericho wins and saves his wrestling career. Then we get to the match that almost all of us were pretty looking for this pay-per-view was the in-ring return of CM Punk against Darby Allin. The crowd was all empty for it. And I really like CM Punk's new wrestling ties. I don't know about you, but I really love it. It was so simple, it was nice. I really enjoy that gear. So yeah. That new gear of Punk. I think he looks fine with it. Person. So I really love in the opening sequence of both men were sitting down on the ring. That was a pretty cool moment to see them sit around in the ring while the crowd was eating this up. And the match here, like, I didn't know what to expect for CM Punk, but I probably knew it wasn't going to be like too much here. Like, this was all about Punk getting back in the ring and shaking some of the rust that he may have for this comeback. Like, this man hasn't wrestled in over 7 years. He was probably going to be a bit rusty, so they had to work around it too. Well, pretty much I thought was a good match here between him and Darby Allin. Maybe even a great match to be considered by most fans. I really enjoyed the sequence of they're running around the ropes. Punk was running around, Darby was running around until Punk almost hit him with a ghost hit, but then Darby rolled out of the ring. Really nice back and forth action. Punk hit the GTS I think it might be one of the best GTA he ever gave to Darby too. Like Darby was, he really laid to that. When CM Punk hit the GTA of Darby and then Darby fly out of the ring like that, out of the ring, that was pretty much cool. I really loved that spot. And Darby will continue to the ring, continue the match. Nice, some really cool sequence. And I really love like the reversals and stuff. And I really enjoyed the finish with Darby. And my favorite spot was Darby mocking Punk. Looks like he was going to do the coffin drop, but then CM Punk just sat. He didn't do anything. He countered Darby Allin, but then nothing. He just sat up like he's the fucking Undertaker. And I love it because in a perfect world, in a normal world, that's how you will react. You don't have to do like anything. You just have to pretend that didn't exist. So that was an awesome spot. And I really enjoyed the finish with Darby was on top of CM Punk and then Punk catching him with the GTA, one of the best GTA I ever seen. Darby really sold out of that GTS pretty well, and CM Punk got the victory. A good to maybe even a great match here. Punk looked really good here. Much better than when the last time I saw him wrestle in the other company. So yeah. So after the match, and this is what I really was impressed about all this, is like the Chicago crowd was all into CM Punk, as we all knew it would. But they were pro CM Punk. The Chicago were pro CM Punk for this man, but they weren't really against Darby. In fact, there was some cheers for him. He got some bit boos, but not overly enough. And after the match, the crowd was chanting his name, and they gave him a standing ovation. And it's like, wow. And it's like, take notes, WWE. This is how you book baby faces. This is how you make a young guy look really good, even in defeat. Really impressive stuff. Really love that. The crowd totally was. While they were all in favor of CM Punk, they were still get Darby out in some respects here. So yeah. And I think we will probably see a rematch from these two in the future. And maybe even for the AEW will tie them. Maybe tune in for that. That's one of the early predictions here. So yeah. So after this we have Sting shook CM Punk's hand, by the way, after the match. That's what happened. They tried to get Darby, but Darby left it alone in the ring after the match. So yeah. After we have Kill Team Marshall against the in-ring debut in AEW of Paul Wright. This was harmless, I would say. I didn't even watch the match. Gotta be honest, didn't watch that much of the match. Paul White won. It was a kind of served purpose, if you really want to look at it. Kind of served purpose of getting Bishop his first win, and he's in with debut in AEW. I don't know if this needed to be on this show personally, but it was harmless. They always say it's welcome. And that's all I got to say about it. So Paul White won here. Then it's main event time. Oh boy. For the AEW World Championship, Kenny Omega defending against Christian Cage. So the first match they had, Christian Cage beat Omega for the Impact World Championship, which Omega held for most up to that point. So this is the rematch, and we pretty much all knew Christian wasn't really gonna get the win here against Omega. But they had a probably even better match than the Rampage. I really enjoyed the Rampage match, but maybe I take that back. I think the Rampage match was better than this. Like you can kind of tell the crowd here were a bit tired for this. I don't think it was good as the first Rampage match. That was a bit better than this, but this was a still great match. They had some cool spots of Christian hitting the spear on Kenny Omega through the table on the floor, from the apron through the table to the floor. You had the Good Brothers coming out, Dark Adams and Carl Anderson interfering. Christian fights off all that. And then the finish with Omega raking the eyes of Christian and then hitting the super one-reach Adrian off the top rope. That was cool. And that got Omega the victory to retain his title. And I think the crowd were pretty much excited, and they were kind of ready for what happens after the match. So all the Elite came out. The Good Brothers, the Young Bucks, leaping after the cage match happened. So they all come out to celebrate Kenny Omega's victory. But the Good Brothers and Omega and the Young Bucks attacked Christian. And then the Jurassic Express came out. They were attacking. They tried to intervene, but to no avail. It was the 5 against 3 were even a bit too much. And that led to Kenny Omega promo to say if anyone has what it takes to the only people that will ever take the AEW World title for him are either someone who's not here, they're gone, or they're already dead. And I don't know if you saw this though, that in the live footage, but they kind of spoil your Adam Cole's debut. As you can see, there was a big yellow light throughout that stage, and before it went blackout. So you kind of knew what was about to happen, but he's here. Adam Cole, baby. Came out, monstrous pop. I really loved that song he came out with. That was banger here. Banger stuff. He came out, Adam Cole came out, confronted the Elite, was about to come face to face, but then Super Kiss Jungle Boy, he attacked the faces, and then hugged the Jumbos and Kenny Omega, and the Jumbo kissed it on their cheek. That was funny. I know that was like, I don't know, but that was a bit off, but I thought that was funny. And then Adam Cole came out, got on the mic, he said, ain't no chance in hell that anyone's gonna stop the Elite. And Kenny Omega was about to finish his promo went out of nowhere, like you saw it in the beginning of the video that you have guys been watched that I made months ago. Here it is, Brian freaking Danielson. Yes, Brian freaking Danielson came out. And I really love how they did it here because they trick you in they trick us into thinking like he wasn't going to show up when Adam Cole came out with the super when he came out. But he's here. Brian Danielson got the ring. He said he got with the baby face to oppose the elite. They started brawling. The crowd was going bananas. They were, and then Brian Danielson was all in on one of the jump balls, I believe, and hits the running knee, and that closed the show. And what I really love about the finish is that the crowd chanted, not for Adam Cole, not for Brian Danielson. They were chanting like they truly meant it. Chanted AEW at the end of the show. And for that, you have to give this angle a massive success here. Because, like I said, they were tricking us into thinking, because we kind of all knew Dancer would be here. He was going to show up. But then Adam Cole came out, and that put the thinking maybe Danielson's not here. But then he ended up being there after all. And man, AEW, man, they have the momentum of like the Boston Boss they have in the Boston Boss. If you don't know one, the game, the championships like 2 months ago. So that momentum is like that kind of momentum that they have right now. It's on a running hot. They have been on a massive roll since crowd came back. And yeah, that was all out. For top to bottom, one of the best pay-per-views that I ever seen. The best wrestling show, the best wrestling for AEW on any show ever. Their best pay-per-view they have ever produced. You had some great matches, really good to great matches, epic moments with the Danielson and Cole debuting and the CM Punk return. Really awesome stuff here. If you haven't watched it yet, I recommend you to give it the replay because it was a pretty much thumbs up show from me. And the rating is down below in the description for you can see. So my final rating for that show. So that was all out. Super Evolution Super AA signs off. Like, subscribe. Get my old nicknames. But it's Super AA signing off. Like, subscribe. Tell me what you think of All Out 2021 in the comment section below. AEW, keep up the great work. Do more shows like this, and the fans will continue following you. So yeah, I'm Jason Maenius. I'm Jason Maenius, and I have brewed this message.